Your business is not too small for profit first. You're just used to chaos. Man, I have been there. I've been in that chaos, not knowing where the money's going, not understanding like, oh man, I have no idea what's coming in. I don't know what's going out. I just need to go. Do I have more in my bank account today than I had yesterday? Or do I have more this month than last month? Then I'm okay. I don't need to worry about it. And then one day you wake up and there's less and you're like, what do I do? I don't know what to do. A lot of people implement a system like Profit First to be able to have that clarity, that understanding, but not just that, they want to sleep at night. Like they want to know where their money is and what it's named. And if you're going to implement Profit First is all about getting you out of your rat race. Isn't that why you started as an entrepreneur? You did not want to do the same thing every day for the rest of your life and like waking up to the job and 40 years and 40, like all those types of things. You wanted to be able to say, I have a business, I have flexibility, and I also have money in the bank account. You're not working 80 hours a week for yourself and then wanting to have less money than if you worked 40 hours for someone else. I want you to have a system that's repeatable, that gets you the money and feels like, hey, this was worth it. I'm so glad that I took that chance on myself, that I went out there and became an entrepreneur. I'm so glad that I started that. If you're not feeling that way, it's probably because you don't have a good system in place to be able to keep the money that you're making. And a lot of people just don't know where to start. They don't have a good starting point. And I'll get to that. If you hang on for just a few minutes, I'll give you that starting point. But I don't know if you're sitting there, if you've never played the game Cashflow 101 by Robert Kiyosaki, the same guy who wrote that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that if you're watching this video, there's probably a very high chance that you've read that book or have heard of it, sold millions of copies. But if you didn't know, he actually created a game. He actually created the game and then wrote the book to sell the game, but obviously the book did way better. But the game Cashflow 101, there's a little wheel in the middle. And it says big or small deals on some green spaces. There's some other spaces where you lose money. But you're literally going around this wheel in this game trying to land on these green spaces that say big or small deal. And if you get enough passive income from those deals, there's another track on that game called the fun track, which symbolizes financial freedom in that game. And so many people, when they become entrepreneurs, they felt stuck, right, in their W-2, or you might feel stuck in your W-2 if you still have a W-2, and you're just living deal to deal, and you're like, okay, day to day, month to month, week to week with your money. But then let's just say you take a chance on yourself, whether it's a side hustle, or maybe you had a side hustle, now it's become a full-time business because of how much income you're able to make, but you're still feeling like you're in that rat race, like it's just another deal, it's just another day, it's just another month. You're waking up, like I said at the beginning, like there's money in the bank account. Is there more today than last month? Well, then good, then I don't have to worry. So you're literally just like in that game, you're going around on that wheel and you're wondering, how in the world am I going to get to that fun track? And maybe you're even several years into entrepreneurship and you've been a full-time business owner for the last several years and you're still not feeling that way of like, I've done this for several years and I'm still not feeling any closer to that financial freedom or to that fun track like in the game Cashflow 101. And you're wondering, when is that going to happen? When do I have enough money to be able to say I'm out of my rat race? And I'm here to tell you, it's not about the amount of money that you have saved up. It's about the systems you have in place to capture that money. So many people, okay, here's a personal story. This might hit home. I was a part of a real estate company where we were doing lots of deals, just like you see on HGTV. You see the people flipping the houses or maybe even the rentals and all the stuff that they've got out there now on HGTV. We were doing about 25 of those a month, like fixing and flipping, all the different types of real estate. We were doing some wholesale. We did buy and hold, so we were doing rentals. We had lots of deals and lots of deal flow. At the same time, though, we were not out of the rat race. We did lots of deals and we were good at making money, but we were not good at keeping it. We were literally spending like 26 worth of deals out the door. So this is where, even if you're doing a tenth of that, because I've also talked with people, another guy that I worked with, he was doing one deal a month, not 25 deals a month, one deal. So 1/25th of what we were doing, but was still feeling the exact same way. He's like, I'm doing one deal a month, doing about 10 to 12 deals a year, but I don't feel like I'm getting out of my rat race. And he had even built up a small rental portfolio, which was spitting off some passive income for him, but he still didn't feel out of the rat race because even that money was going right back in to feed the machine. And he didn't really ever pay himself. He never had money for set aside for anything. He didn't have a big reserve account. He just felt like I'm living deal to deal. And lots of entrepreneurs trade their W-2 where they're living paycheck to paycheck, and then they go into entrepreneurship and they're living deal to deal or sale to sale or week to week, month to month. I don't want that for you. This is where I believe a system like Profit First helps to build a bridge from that rat race, from what I was talking about, that little wheel, like from the game Cashflow 101, to the financial freedom track or that fun track that he talks about in the game. Profit First is a system that no matter how many deals you do, how much sales you have, whatever industry you're in, if you have a system to capture your cash, you will start to build that bridge to true wealth building as an entrepreneur, not just be in that rat race the rest of your life. How do I know this? I also have personal experience now. We have implemented Profit First with over 500 companies as of this point in our business and with the businesses that we work with. And I will tell you that every time that someone implements Profit First, they have some story to tell me of where they felt like they were making money, but maybe they felt broke at one point. And because they implemented Profit First, they were able to break that mindset. I just had someone last week. I was at an event, and someone walked up to me that was working with us, and she said, I was able to save up some money for taxes because you helped us implement the first steps of Profit First, which we're still getting to. So if you're still with me, I'm still going to get there. But she said, because we implemented a tax account, we got our tax projection of what we're going to owe for this year, and she thought it was going to be a big number. And she said it was only $15,000, but we had $80,000 saved in the tax account, and she felt like, oh my gosh, like we did it. We are on our way to out of the rat race because that's extra money that they weren't planning on actually having. They thought they were going to have to give that to the government, but because their tax bill was lower and because they had saved so much, that was like a huge bonus to them. Okay, so if you want a story like that, so why would you even set up Profit First? I want you to have a story like that where you say, because I implemented even the first steps of this, I was able to start to feel like I was getting out of the rat race as an entrepreneur. So what's the first steps? Here it is. You're going to open up some business checking accounts. I'm not going to blow your mind here, okay? It's Profit First. The system is built on the envelope method, just like popular people like Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, those types of people out there that have made it very popular in the personal finance space of you get $1 into your personal finances and then you separate that dollar out into the expenses in your life by envelopes and you name every dollar that comes through your fingers. So this is where I want you to, as a business owner, set up some business checking accounts for your business. So that way the same principle applies because this is a principle of money. If you name every dollar that comes in, you will be able to control your cash instead of your cash controlling you. So what does that look like? What does that mean? How do I set this up? Literally, first, I would go by your bank, the bank that you use all the time. Even if you're using a big bank like Chase or all the ones out there, Wells Fargo, I can name lots of those types of banks, or if you have a credit union or a small bank, that might be a little bit easier to set up. But number one, I would reach out to your banker and say, I want to set up a few bank accounts. What's that process? What will that look like? There's also online banks that make it super easy, like if you go to relayfi.com. But this is where I want you to have a system making sure that you know where every dollar is going. So if you open up those bank accounts, what are those bank accounts you'd be telling your banker to open up? Or if you do an online bank, what would you be naming these accounts? You're going to set up 4 fundamental accounts because you probably already have the 5th one. The 5th one is an operational expense account where you're paying all the expenses and all the automatic payments come out, but you probably already have that bank account. So you're going to set up 4 other accounts. First thing I would set up is an income account so you can see how much is coming in. So you're separating out what's coming in from what's going out. So you at least have the start of the system. So you know, here's how much I've either made from a deal or from a sale or how much I made in a week comes into the income account. It's really helping you control how much money you're going to move to the other ones. The favorite accounts I love to set up, though, I call the golden trio. 3 bank accounts, profit, owner's comp, and owner's tax. I'll dive into those a little bit deeper, but why do I call them the Golden Trio? I love big epic movie sagas. There's Harry Potter, there's Star Wars. They have the three main heroes, Luke, Han, Leia, Harry, Ron, Hermione. I want to make sure you have some heroes bank accounts that are helping you keep more of what you're making and not just spending every dollar out the door. So what is profit, owner's comp, and owner's tax? Profit is literally like the icing on the cake. It's making sure you have a reserve account, but also profit to be able to do whatever you want. This is where you're going to start to feel financial freedom if at the end of a quarter you have some money in a profit account and you say, what do I want to do with this? Because then it's real freedom. Whether you want to use that money to go out maybe and buy real estate, if you're not in real estate, or if you are in real estate, paying down mortgages, or if you want to go on a vacation, if you want to buy a couch, if you want to buy whatever it might be, Christmas presents. Like, I want you to be able to have an account that's just there for whatever you want. We call that profit. Owner's comp, to me, is the most important bank account in the entire system. Why is it the most important? Because most entrepreneurs do not pay themselves on a regular basis. So you set up the owner's comp account to make sure, because what does that stand for? Owner's compensation. I want you to compensate yourself for the work that you do in the business. So I want you to have an owner's compensation to pay yourself, and that's where any money that goes in there is going to be treated like your salary or distributions. I don't even care how that's something that you talk about with your accountant or your tax person of like, okay, how much should I take out in draws, or how much should I take out if you give yourself a W-2 from your own business? All I care about is, do you have an account that's there and dedicated for you to see how much money do you have to be able to pay yourself? What if you want to give yourself a raise? What if you've been working in the business for over a decade and you're like, I never have felt like I've really paid myself what I'm really worth or what the business could afford? And then you have an owner's comp account to clearly see how much could you pay yourself and could you give yourself a raise? That's why it's so important. I could go on that one literally all day. The third of the Golden Trio accounts to help you keep more is the tax account, or the owner's tax. I don't want you coming at tax time and saying, what the heck? Where's all the money? I don't know how I'm going to pay these taxes that I now owe as a business owner. If you have a tax account, then you're going to have a story like I told earlier of, okay, maybe you get the tax bill, but you have more in that account than you really need. Or maybe this year you have around the same amount and you're like, hey, I just don't have to stress. I'd rather you have a good conversation around the money and taxes like that versus like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I need to do 4 more deals, or I need to make way more sales to be able to cover this tax bill, or I have to go on a payment plan and now I'm facing a bunch of penalties and whatever it might be. I want you to have bank accounts that give you the confidence to put the cash where you want it, and you control the cash flow, not the cash driving you and driving fear in your business. So that's how you set up. You literally just go to your bank and you say, I want these fundamental accounts from the Profit First system. I want an income account so you can see how much is coming in. I want the Golden Trio. I want a profit, an owner's comp, and an owner's tax account. And you set them up as business checking accounts so that way every deal that closes or every sale that comes through your door, I have you on a weekly basis or a bi-weekly, whatever fits your business and those cycles. From income, you're transferring that to the other accounts. So that's really how to set up and why you would even set this up, because at the end of the day, I want you to have a story like that person that came up to me last week that we're working with, where I have more than I needed and I'm starting to feel that financial freedom. And these are the accounts that will help you. And you can do this. You can do this as an entrepreneur. I'm not teaching you anything crazy, anything like QuickBooks Online, anything like spreadsheets. This is something you could do literally after you get done watching this video. Honestly, you should be doing this while you're watching this video on your other screen or whatnot, just setting up those bank accounts, because I want you to have that clarity, which creates that confidence, which puts more cash in your pocket. Thanks for spending time with me today. If this episode gave you clarity or a new perspective, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. If you're ready to apply what we talked about today with real guidance and accountability, visit ProfitREI.com to schedule a free discovery call with us to create your path to financial clarity and freedom.